And speaking of Europe and speaking of congestion, in France, where our political elites love to love, they installed a light rail system, and then they did something crazy. But instead of just using assumption and repetition, they measured it. And guess what? The ridership for light rail came not from automobiles, but from the subways and the buses. Congestion actually increased, and doing actual measurements, Paris has increased carbon emissions 3,100 tons since they added light rail. Continuing with Europe, because whether it's President Obama or our local leaders that say we just need to adopt the European model, that's because all we do in America is drive cars. Well, it's true, 85% of American travel is by the automobile. In Europe, it has increased to 79%. They're only short of us 6 points. In other words, with our elite leaders wanting us to be like Europe, Europe is trying to be like us. Because they know that mobility is your prosperity. Last number, well, two numbers, 6.3. That's the actual share of travel by rail in all of Europe, 6.3%. And then the last number, you'll find this interesting because your mayor talks about transportation choice. I've heard that in cities all across this land. And about how it's good for the social welfare. One is the number of rail transit systems in the entire United States of America that have been measured to say that there are greater benefits than costs to the social welfare. And that study came from the University of California at Berkeley. Even Berkeley says there's only one system that works, and that's the BART system in San Francisco. And lastly, 9. In Chicago, every passenger trip is subsidized $9 per passenger for their rail system. So, folks, these are the real numbers that we have to deal with. Now, if we radically change and the government succeeds at coercing us out of our cars, and by the way, that is the phrase used by the Secretary of Transportation, Ray LaHood, a Republican, who said it is the goal of the Obama administration to coerce you out of your car. Well, if they succeed, then these numbers could change, but the question is why? Why at such a large cost should we be forced to change to fit the vision and the desire of our political elites? Why should we sacrifice our mobility for the vision of urban elites? Let me be clear, your mobility is directly tied to your freedom. The pursuit of happiness, a phrase we all love, I would point out that pursuit is an action verb. It implies movement. And think of all the different things, not just the economic opportunities, better jobs, better access to goods and services, but think of all the other things. Think of the social interactions, the cultural experiences, the religious participation, the recreational participation, and the educational opportunities, all enhanced by mobility. And all of these things, simply put, rail transit cannot be an apples-to-apples substitute. Our position is that transit has a role to play, but it's the same with our constitutional framework. It has a limited and important role to play. It should be focused on those who cannot or should not drive. Help them out. And guess what? There are systems in the country, there are rubber tire or bus systems in the country that actually break even, and they're all privately operated, and they're all focused on need rather than the desires of the political elite. Folks, this is the challenge, and this is what I mean by big government in your backyard. Just recently, our own Florida legislature went into special session to pave the way for high-speed rail funds. And if you think someone in the Panhandle is mad that they're going to have to pay for high-speed rail between Tampa and Orlando, you all should be mad because you're now paying for commuter rail in Broward, Palm Beach, and Dade counties. $15 million a year. Now we at the ADC are in fact for transit that works, and like I said, if it is just like our constitutional provision, folks, I'm a former elected official at the local level. I had to swear an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution. What that means to me is that no matter what level of government you are at, you are obligated to pursue a philosophy of limited government. Focus on the essential services. I'm going to wrap up now and just say that you all walk in a great tradition. The first Tea Party was not called the North American Tea Party or the Continental Tea Party. It was the Boston Tea Party because it came out of a city like Tampa. It was started by men and women who were fed up and who wanted to take charge of their future. And folks, they gave us the gift, the blessings of liberty, endowed by our Creator. We have the blessings of liberty, but I want to say this, they also gave us the burden of liberty. And what that means is we all have a responsibility to safeguard liberty for the future. That is our burden, and we should wear it with pride. Yeah. And we should never let these elites tell us that it's not worth fighting for and that we're not who we say we are when we come out here. And let me say one more thing. Let me talk about one more thing I think is very important. That is the bloodline we share. Folks, I don't care if you came over, if your family came over on Plymouth Rock, or they just got here a few years ago from the Ivory Coast. If you're an American citizen, then the blood of patriots courses through your veins. And I'm talking Patrick Henry and Paul Revere. Patrick Henry, the great rhetorician, the great speaker. Paul Revere, a man of action. The Tea Party of today must be both. We must be words, we must be speaking out, and we have to be action, taking charge. I'm proud to be in the fight for liberty. The American Dream Coalition is dedicated to this purpose and can provide you with the basic training for defending liberty at the local level. Now, I'm going to be walking around with some pamphlets because we have our annual conference June 10th through 12th in Orlando, actually, where we'll be talking about these local liberty issues. And I'd invite you to join us, and I'd invite you to check out our website, AmericanDreamCoalition.org. I can always be reached through that website. Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. This is a great cause you're a part of. We will restore our country to its constitutional framework, and we will secure freedom for the future. God bless each of you.